So I'll be sharing today basically on balancing exploration and comfort that I had learned from a talk with somebody. His name is Sprouty, but we had a lot of conversations about this kind of topic. So it doesn't hurt to listen. We have to find the common ground, whether it's north, south, east, west. Sometimes we have to let go and sacrifice on the way, like a pilgrimage. We have to have fear to be human, because we have to say, like, what do I fear? Growth is risky. There's uncertainty. We have to be honest, what we've done, what we will do, how we want to be seen. And we know that to be loved or to be love is not the same thing as that we can't be alone. Everyone's going to abandon us, because that's sort of like the desperation. That's when we're in the loneliness, the abuse, rejection, powerlessness. And that's when the fear comes in. Like when we stay with someone toxic, it's because there's nothing better, right? We have no better option. A tyrant fears that no one will like him if he loses power. So each of us had to pretend to like being alone when we didn't really want to. And as we're healing, we go into our community, we realize everything's mapped out. What isn't serving me? What can we do better? But it's so ingrained that everyone for us is over on the other side, being with the people our community said we shouldn't be with, right? Like, as we don't know who we are. It's like this idea that if you go past the moat around the castle, there'll be an enemy. In our domain, we don't know if anyone is on this side. We have to learning to walk again. It's like you don't even have to like it. It's a reprogramming. You have to learn to walk again. And instead of not wanting to disappoint anyone, we have to see, what are they doing to help me? Am I growing with them? And for example, a man with a woman, a community and a collective. Like with a collective community, it's supporting individuals. The community needs them. And if it's like down and oppressed, then it's surrender. There's I and I. We always have to be ourselves. What are we searching for? Going, leaving? Are we willing to leave everything behind? Because religion is not lifestyle. It's one is like always doubting ourselves. One is trusting ourselves. So to live observant is to be observing ourselves. Observing life is to be trusting. We're paying attention. But to be religious could mean doubting, like not knowing, an OCD kind of gone wrong. Then in terms of man and woman, there's unify, reconcile, absorbing what makes the separate, which takes away the space, feeling better, affirming his cause, his war, right, as a woman, and giving benefit of the doubt to each other. Everything is a tool, and yet we're not just a cow to be milked. What someone knows about us, they can use against us sometimes. And yet our deepest fear is to be alone. So we want to be in a relationship. We also want to be, so this is exploration and comfort. Remember, that's a theme. So some information has to be retained and some needs to be released. And sometimes we have over-informed contradictions. There's too much information. So life is real. Everybody has life. We have to find out who we are. What do we love? What do we want to know? And they do every transplant besides a brain transplant. You could think about the mind being hard to control, cannot be controlled, can be controlled, easy to control. All these angles is because a real weapon is mind control. And when we give what we get, I'm thinking of my grandmother. She thought separating and disapproval was worse than death. Like she would rather die than be separated or disapproved of. And programming, how can someone be happy if they didn't suffer like her? So then there's abuse, divorce, helplessness, but we don't have to go on the same path we were on. Some people, they say, what can I clutch? It's like a dog. A dog is like a purse. And my sister got 2 dogs. And remembering, I'm saying again, I'm not just a cow to be milked, means that when we're in community relationship, it makes people dependent is wrong. Fear-mongering, if you leave, like there won't be the milk, or wanting others to be in fear, like you need me, I'm the milk. Like a pimp and a hoe, forgive me for the inappropriate words, like somebody who has a prostitute and someone rents out the prostitute. Like, you're not wanted out there, no one will treat you this way. It's like to make people feel bad. Preventing people from doing wrong and hurting people. We have to accept people for who they are. No one shares their brain with me. They choose to show their true colors. They're who they are. We can have compassion, but we don't have to, again, be a cow just for the milk or be used or cater to a tyrant. If during erecting a building there's a 3rd floor issue, we don't wait till there's the 10th floor to fix the 3rd floor. Many times we have to destroy something in order to grow, but we don't have to stay in the rubble. Tough times help us to get where we are, and to recognize we might have been misguided to get to the 3rd floor in the wrong way, and then we can't even ever get to a 10th floor. But if we there's compromise, give and take, can cause death of a certain angle, of a certain part. We can't expect anyone else to not be in closed-mindedness or small-mindedness such that it all has to go their way. Like leaving it, manipulation and anger behind as we're out here trying to learn and grow. Not always our way, not always their way. And if blank was a person, so I am love, joy, anger, hate, right? So I would say I am light, I am sweet, whatever it is that we need to, if blank was a person, they are, forgiveness, they are permission, they are relief. These are ways, like when we're in the interesting, the reconciling, the perspective, the reassuring, the unknown, the mystery. And when we're finished, we're done. Also, there's the question of, is this even real? So if they don't appreciate it, I can accept guidance on what they do appreciate. But we have to remember that sometimes there's this idea of Babylon or Gullus or there's injustice. So it's not revealed that it's all fair and good and clean. We might compromise our securities to be with someone, whether they're strong-minded or strong-headedness, and recognizing the fear, facing the fear is part of growth. That we can end our life without killing ourselves. We can give up on the life we had, knowing no specific person or home is outside of me. No one's coming to save me. And to be affected is not the same thing as to be reflected. To be affected is it comes in. To be reflecting is that there's something in me that says this is not me, it's the other, but I can see them. I can see with what's coming in and bouncing. And when we expect the enemy to change, we end up, and I say enemy, not real enemy, right? This is someone who's closed-minded or someone who we think this is an enemy, right? We give a name. We end up with anger. We can choose to be the victim and hurt the helpless, like being helpless and not fighting back when you can. And remembering that male-female dynamic, like what's a woman here for? We have to know our worth. Whether it's female or male, in the front, the back, the left, the right, the up, down. There's a balanced physicality and attraction and spirituality, mentality, emotionality, and I like that word, emotionality. And physical strength is not transfers. It's not trying to look like someone else, over tanning or bleaching the skin. Everyone's beautiful. We don't have to suffer to just be. Nature is coexisting the way it's supposed to be. So when we're not afraid to live among other people, sometimes a bubble is okay, but it hurts others to keep myself separate. We have to remember it hurts others. And not stopping nature from blooming, even love. We can love someone without loving their foolishness. Freedom is our love, and wisdom is our lesson. Pattern of not always coming to meet the other. We don't have to specify anything, no agenda, but we need to be with someone versus to have someone. Everything has something to teach us. Someone, something. That's why we keep growing if we want to, no matter who comes in as the teacher. We are the one growing. So for example, like if I feel very fat, I could say it's because I like food. Now, why do I like food so much? Maybe I don't have other things I like. Maybe I let go of a lot of pleasures in the last year, for example. So I can always, like us requires two people, each one being me, both doing the work, finding the common world. And in our nature, it's natural to find things that we dislike or that are opposite, but also to be in balance that gets upset. Like the balance is gone if it's too triggering, like the light is shown or the dark is hidden, is bright self, shadow self, indirect affirmation. Like if we affect them so much, we know we're powerful, right? So we have nothing to repay. We can receive all the good, love, understanding, acceptance, and be grateful for it and show and express the feelings that guide us to act. Knowing that everyone's doing what is best for them and only reaching out if they feel drawn for as long as they feel called. And that way we can treat everyone and everything like it's maybe for the last time. And from that, I was inspired to write a little bit about how do I rise up in every way that feels right in my own soul, no longer disempowering myself. And I wrote different ways to talk about it. So standing up for what I believe in, developing my own moral code, principles over personalities, not letting resentments hinder my learning. Like I'm still learning even if somebody feels resentable. Choosing to be grateful, letting the little things count too, that not just for the negative criticism, but for the progress. Compassion for my or others' developmental challenges. Expressing my needs and boundaries, not subjecting myself to abuse, giving myself and others permission. Not so need-based in relationships, telling people how wonderful they are, course correcting away from slippery slopes, giving my burdens to God that I can't handle, learning to trust my truth and asking for help when I need it. Being friends with whoever I want, could be everyone. Lowering my expectations and remembering where I came from. Resting when I need to, accepting all the good of my portion from the universe that's meant for me and finding guidance in the triggers. Asking my higher power for the willingness, if I have a divided will or a repressed will. Making options, not indulging in revenge, putting myself first, staying in my limits, and refusing responsibility that is forced on me. Anyway, I hope that this was interesting. Be well. Have a good day.